Hello everybody, today's video will be about the black color. So let's start. What people usually think when they hear about the black color? Usually they think of death, dark forces, or something scary. I have been trying to check for a long time whether there is a connection between archaeology and ancient texts and between physics, which we know today, either practically or theoretically. When I was at archaeological site in the Golan, today's Israel, I saw remains there that were black in color, made of basalt. I was even more surprised when I arrived at the ancient Gadar. There were remains of the theater there. The second part of Gadar is called Gadura or Kais and is located in Jordan. A theater there, made of black basalt, was preserved very well. Everything looks black, very strong, and really made black in the eyes. And on the other hand, all this is associated with the Romans and Hellenistic Greece. But if you check historically, then the Romans and Greeks like the color of white, yellow, orange, pink, red, and sometimes green and blue. Black was considered the color of death and the underworld. Later, among Christians, black became the color of Satan. And then the question arises, what? Was it the theater of death? Not really suitable. And although from an architectural point of view, it looks Roman style as acceptable, yes? I decided to check where the roots of the black color and the basalt came from and how they got to the theater. So let's start. Let's start chronologically from the main beginning. Let's start with Mesopotamia. Colors in Mesopotamia were divided into light and dark. For example, dark blue was in the same category as dark red or black, and white was in the same category as yellow or light green. It is interesting because in their approach they probably separated between what can be seen, which is bright, and what cannot be seen, which is darker. Colors in ancient Mesopotamia were important for describing the world around us, including the black color. As surprising as it may sound, in Mesopotamia the black color had a positive meaning. For example, the ancient Sumerians called themselves black-headed. For example, the Assyrians, who migrated to Anatolia with donkeys about 3 months, called donkeys black. From the text of the city of Mari, it can be understood that the color black was associated with royalty and rule. Okay, from an archaeological point of view, statues of the ruler Gudea were discovered in the city of Girsu in Iraq today. Most of them were made of black diorite. The problem, for example, with diorite is that it is found in rocks that were created due to great pressures, as a result of which many cracks were formed, small cracks, and it is necessary to choose a piece that has as few cracks as possible in order to avoid a crash, so that the stone does not crack during the work. So we can see a very high level of knowledge. At that time, a statue of Puzu Istar from the city of Mari was discovered, which was made of black basalt. Why they forced to import black rocks that are difficult to process and work with from Oman, about 1,600 kilometers away? These materials were hard, and only with the help of knowledge of stress of materials, serious damage could be avoided. And this is probably the reason why they choose these rocks. These rocks matched in terms of color and also in terms of strength. From this we can learn that the color black was the color of knowledge, and knowledge was related to royalty, and the rulers were mediators between the gods or space and the rest of the people too. I mean, those who were covered in black color were connected to the gods or to the knowledge of the world around us, the same knowledge that cannot be seen with the eyes or heard with the ears. At least according to the electromagnetic spectrum, we know this, that it is a fact. There are radio waves, microwaves, X-rays, gamma rays all around us, but we only see visible light, and this even though other animals are able to receive additional frequencies, as I showed in the previous videos. This is example of the statue of Gudea, made from black diorite. You can see the eyelashes and the lips. Everything is very detailed and polished. Very, very advanced. If we are talking about such an ancient period. And this is another example. On the left you can recognize the famous double snakes. Also from black stone. Levant. Let's go to Levant. Later in today's Turkey, in a place called Al-Alakh, some 4,000 years ago, a temple was built. It is a one-story building in square shape and stairs that lead inside. The temple is built of black basalt or andesite stone. One of the famous names, Hammurabi, ruler of Babylon, was mentioned in the Al-Alakh. And you can see the picture below. This is a picture from the excavations of the temple. The stone is made of black basalt. Above the text there is a scene. You can see close-up of this scene. On the right side sits the god Shamash, who represents the sun and the light, and on the left Hammurabi. The god Shamash sits on chair, which represents space or the universe. The chair is made in the shape of doors that get bigger from the inside out, like an expanding space or universe. And although the god Shamash is the god of light, he is shown here in black. And in general the whole scene is robed in black. And the black, we can understand, probably represents the other reality, which is invisible to the human eyes. I mean that all this scene is a scene of light. But because we cannot see with our eyes and cannot detect with our measurements today, it's shown in black. It's like invisible. Later, a similar temple appears in today's Israel, at a place called Tel Hatzor. Here too, there were black basalt walls of one row. Stairs with a basalt floor were also excavated there. Archaeologists also found there a black head with a snake on the forehead, just like in Egypt. The head dates back to about 4,000 years ago. Here you can see the view of this temple, very similar to what we have seen in Al-Alach. In the left side below, you can see the top view of this temple, square temple and stairs leading to the main entrance, and two pillars in the left and the right side. I marked them in pink. Here you can see some pictures from that temple and the blocks of black basalt. In the biblical writings, in the book of Joshua, chapter 11, verses 10-13, it is written, "And Joshua captured Hatzor, which was the head of the kingdoms. He struck all these inhabitants with the sword, and Hatzor was burned with fire." And exactly what you can see in front of you. You can see a cracks that appeared during the fire, and then when it was cooled down, this what appeared. And now you can see the results. Very nice job. You can see these blocks are rectangular and made very well in high quality, and the geometry is very precise, very accurate. This is the head I was talking about. The local residents knew Egypt, or maybe Egyptians knew the place. It doesn't matter. Black color and snake on the forehead. If we connect this head to the text found in Mari, then the color black was associated with royalty, and the snake was associated with control. We have already seen that snakes and waves in previous videos, yes, in Greece and Peru had the same meaning. Hence, we have on the forehead a wave or snake that represents the wave that could be another source of information about the universe around us, and therefore it was the image of the king. Pottery were found in Saqqara in Egypt from 1900 BC. The find includes a list of cities, including cities known from the Bible: Tel Dan, Jenin, Acre, Jerusalem, Nablus, Tel Rehov, and Hatzor. Texts from ancient Mari in the same time mention Hatzor. 1400 BC later, the ruler of Hatzor is mentioned in the writings of Amarna, in Tel Amarna writings, as king by the pharaoh of Egypt. Here in the picture below, we can see the roof and the stairs that leading to something that waiting to be excavated in the future. We can see close-up, and burn marks in form of cracks are also seen here. This is a black basalt, very high quality, according to the period, of course. And here you can see those stairs leading to something that wait to be excavated. Archaeologists have stopped the excavation. They don't know what is inside this hill. So in the future we will know what is hiding inside. Maybe some temple, maybe some new knowledge, or some surprise. If you look closer, you can see the quality of those stairs. Of course, this is a manual work, but in high quality. Also, this cup was found also made from basalt, and you can see these decorations. And this is the same picture. And during this period, those who received the Egyptian name Hyksos live in Hatzor and the surrounding area, and decorations that you can see in the form of gravitational waves. Now we are moving to Egypt. At the same time as the ancient period in the Levant and in Mesopotamia, the Egyptians also had something to offer. During ancient Egypt and the New Kingdom, during the Bronze Age, Egypt was called Kemet, which means black land or black soil. Egyptian researchers associated the expression with fertile, dark brown soil found along the Nile, and this compared to red soil, which represents the desert. But the colors were also associated with gods, and the sand is yellow, not red, and the soil is dark brown, not black. In ancient Egypt, the red color was the color of life and evil, and the black color was the color of life and rebirth. The black color was the color of the ancient water from which life grew, and hence a black land was related to the understanding of the term life in general, life on earth and after death, and in general to wisdom. Let's see, on the east side of the Great Pyramid of Giza, there are remains of a floor which was connected by blocks of black basalt and were polished. About 5 kilometers northwest of the Pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara, there are ruins of the so-called Pyramid of Sahure. Sahure, the one who close to Ra, the sun god. So we're talking about a sun. And sun is yellow, red. And here you can see the ruins. If you have some doubts, then I show you this picture. These ruins are ancient. This picture from 1910, in the beginning of the 20th century. And you can see these columns with decorations, blocks made of red granite. But the floor made from black basalt, black color. This is a picture from Neosura pyramid. And the floor was flatted. So why they need black stone in order to make a floor? I think they have some purpose. It wasn't by chance. Look at the quality of the floor, remains of the floor. And the ruins of ancient pyramid. The Egyptians knew about the pyramidal form allegorically as Ben Ben. Ben Ben was a hill or small mountain. This means that the ancient Egyptians knew the pyramids by the name mountain. Even in the book of Genesis, in the Old Testament, there are mountains. For example, Mount Sinai or Horeb. The pyramid, the Pyramidion of Amenhotep III is a stone in pyramidal shape that was found in the Black Pyramid at Dahshur, Egypt, crafted around something like 1850 BC. The Pyramidion carved out of single piece of black basalt. And you can see how precise is the geometry. And also you can see that the light is reflected from the sides because the sides were polished. And this is black basalt. And this is 2000 years before the Romans. But on the right side, it is the same geometrical shape, the same pyramid. And this coming out from Dmitry Pavlov theory, four-dimensional time or space. Next, the word Yahweh in the Bible, if we are divided by letters and give to the letters numbers, we will get Yud it's 10, Hey it's 5, V 6, and Hey 5. And if we take together, join them together, we will get 10 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5 is 26. 26 is contain 40 and plus 12. What means 40 and 12? If we see the shape below, the geometrical figure, it's called rhombodecaeder, then this figure has 40 vertices and 12 sides. Now if we are going to the word Yahweh and divide it to the roots, we will get Yah. We will get Haya, was, Hove, is, and will be. Yaheh. So past, present, and future. And like the geometric figure of Dmitry Pavlov, from this figure emerges a cone of light, which is past, present, and future. The cone of light in the shape of pyramid you can see on the picture in red color. It has another pyramid that connect together. It's the same two cones like in theory of relativity, but the base in theory of relativity is circular and here is square. This is the difference. Remind the book of Genesis chapter 1, and I quote, put a quote, and the earth was tohu and bohu, and darkness over the abyss, and the spirit, ruach, yes, of Elohim hovered over the water's surface. Let's look together. Spirit, or ruach, it's wind. It's a meaning in a simple language. It also appears as the four winds of the sky. I mean, the four directions of the sky. That's how it translated. So from this, it follows that the spirit is a direction. Hovered over, hovering its movement, velocity. Water surface, water is space, and the surface is a geometric definition. From this we get, so we can read it now in different words. Directions that come from Elohim are in motion on the surface of the space. And just as a wind that has direction and movement, and it creates waves in the sea, here it is the same. Why? And what are waves in space? Light. Indeed, later it is written, and Elohim said, let there be light, and was light. And now we will put everything together, and we can read, directions that come from Elohim are in motion on the surface of space, and was light. It wasn't a miracle. Here we can see a statue of black stone of some ruler, also in Egypt, as it was in Mesopotamia and Levant. And here, the statue of Pharaoh Menkaure, also in black color, and also high quality. Now we're moving to India. At the same time as ancient places in the West, the black color also appeared in the regions of ancient India. In Atharva Veda, in hymns 53 and 54, it's talking about Kala, which is both time and black. Kala means time and also black. Simply, according to the Griffith translations, it says, having 1,000 eyes and a horse with 7 bands of time pulls us forward. The wise connect him. His chariot wheels are all the words of beings. The 7 wheels of time and the same immoral ships are the axles of the chariot. Let's see, a horse with bands, it is time, or a field of time that pulls us forward. Chariot is a universe itself. Chariot wheels are galaxies. So we get the simple picture. Instead of saying our universe is accelerating, we can say that the time going slower, and we will get the same picture. Allegorically, as some horses that pull the chariot with the wheels, and galaxies are rotating like wheels. And here we have illusion as movement. But in reality, the time is going slower. What time? It's time that comes from the theory of Dmitry Pavlov. Four-dimensional time or space. Only from his theory, not from relativity or from Newton. Now we're going to the Bible. Time, as it appears in the book of Psalms and the book of Genesis, I read the quote: 1,000 years in our eyes are as yesterday, because it will pass and I will keep it in the night. This is quote from the book of Psalms. In the book of Genesis chapter 1, there are 6 days of creation and the Shabbat, and total of 7. 1,000 years are like yesterday, mean every day is 1,000 years in relation to yesterday. Hence, the days of Genesis can be seen as first day, second day, third day, fourth day, or one day. It's 1 second day will be 1,000 years, third day 1,000,000 years, and the fourth day 1,000,000,000 years. What we get in book of Genesis? 1 day, second day 1,000 years. If you multiply by the word second, it will be approximately 360,000 years. This is approximately when scientists said that the matter was divided or separated from the radiation, from photons, and we received them as microwaves. Third day, 1,000,000 years. If you multiply by the word third, it will be 650 million years, and very close to the time when our galaxy was created. But why did I stop on fourth day? After the beginning, it is written, and let there be light. You remember? What light? The sun has not yet been created. On fourth day, it is written that the sun will be the ruler of the day. This means that the light in the beginning was a different light. What kind of light? In my opinion, everything that can be seen or received in the universe. Hence, fourth day describes our solar system. Another important point is it is written like follows: and let there be light, and Elohim called the light day. And there was morning and there was evening one day. He called the light day. So light is day. Hence one can read 7 days of creation, and one can read 7 lights of creation. And here we see that time and space evolved together way before the relativity that we know today, general and special relativity. And another point is, I want to mention the lamp. A lamp, menorah, with 7 reeds actually represents 7 lights of creation. So when we will see a temple, and inside the temple is a menorah, the temple is actually the universe, the house of the God. And 7 reeds of the lamp represent the 7 lights of creation. But the temple will be in the black color that will represent a temple, a time and space, light and time together. So now we'll see in the picture below, this is a picture of Kailasa temple in India. Very known temple. It's a part of Ellora caves. Maybe cave number 18, I don't remember. An interesting point, the writing of the text date back to the 3rd century AD, but the content date back to the Vedic period of the 1st millennium BC. So there is interdiction. It turns out that if we go to the Kailasa temple in Ellora, we will see a temple that was carved out of black basalt rock. The temple is for entity Shiva, and if we go a little deeper into the stories, then one of Shiva's name was Kala, time, and the temple symbolized the universe. And this is exactly what can be seen in the temple, a universe where Shiva acting was robed in black color, which symbolized time. All this beauty already existed in the 8th century AD, about 500 years before the texts were written. If we look deeper, then the temple could have been carved even before the 8th century AD, maybe in the Vedic period. But it doesn't matter. We see here that the knowledge was before the text. This is another picture of very advanced caves in the territory in India called a state called Bihar. These caves are called Barbar caves, and you can see they made from black some magmatic stone, very similar to granite or diorite. And you can see how precise the geometry, how accurate the arc and the floor and the walls and also the roof were polished. And the quality of this polish you can see. In the right side you can see the reflection of the light. It is very high quality, and I can tell you that some people investigate this cave and they found very high quality of polishing. Now we are going to ancient China. The black color in ancient China was associated with water or space. In the Book of Transformations, called I Ching, about 3000 years ago, it is written, "Heaven and earth are black." Ancient Chinese people believed that the heavenly emperor resided in the black North Star. Ancient Chinese people regarded black as the king of colors and consistently respected black more than any other color. Now we are moved to something interesting. I called it chessboard decoration. A chessboard as a symbol of black or dark and white or light world, and at the same time as a symbol of a fractal universe. This is a plate from the Maya culture in Mexico, and you can see in the center squares, black and white, like chessboard. This is also from pre-Columbian America. It is near Mexico. But today is United States, and you can see the chessboard decoration. And here you can see the chessboard decoration, black and white, and also a mirror view. Also here, Central America, before the arrival of Spaniards. This is a picture from ancient Peru. Brown and yellow chessboard decorations. This is also from ancient Peru. And this is also from ancient Peru. You can see the wings of this bird are in the shape of chessboard. And also here on the back of this animal, also from ancient Peru. This is also from ancient Peru. And this is Nazca culture, also from Peru. On the right side, you can see a chessboard decoration, black and white squares. Now we're moving to ancient Greece, some 7,000 years ago. Cultures of Dmini and Sisklo, and we can recognize the same chessboard decoration. And here, from Susa, before the Sumerians, chessboard decoration, and also a mirror, and here also a chessboard decoration. This is a picture from Halaf culture. In the picture below, you can see the chessboard decoration on the plate and also in the middle. This is a very interesting picture. It's also a chessboard decoration, but from Egypt. You can see on the left side, instead of white and black, here we see blue and black. Instead of bright and dark, visible and invisible, they made the same idea, but in our visible world. The blue represents a sky when it is day, and the black represents the sky in the night. And you can see on the top of this box a game, squares of a game. So the idea of a black, dark, visible and invisible world transferred later to a game. And I think that the chess that we are now playing today have its roots from these times, ancient times. So people playing black against white, it's like playing visible against invisible world. But what is the meaning of chessboard? Here you can see a chessboard 2 on 2. Then, if we put a square of chessboard 2 on 2 first in the right top corner, then in the right bottom corner, then we continue to the left bottom corner, and then to the left top corner, we will get a new chessboard 4 on 4. If we continue the same method, we will get 6 on 6 and then 8 on 8. And what does all this mean? Actually, a fractal. So the meaning of chessboard that we are living in a fractal world, visible and invisible. As simple as it sounds. Okay, now we're moving to closer period, Archaic Iron Age. Changes begin to occur in the Levant, Mesopotamia, India, and more. And new groups were formed, which forms the continuation basis for base for new religions and groups, such as Hellenistic Greece, Romans, Persians, Jews, Christians, Hinduism, and Buddhism. In fact, it was information and not knowledge that caused renewed development, learning, invention, and more. What was visual underwent an evolutionary process, and what was not visual became philosophy. As sad as it sounds. I apologize if you are philosophers, but this is the fact. India, Kailasa temple to Lord Shiva, made of black basalt. And you can see here that this is actually representation of the universe. The temple represents the universe, and it is robed in the black color, the color of time. Warangal Fort gateway, made from monolith of gray granite, and on the right side a basalt Shiva lingam, very, very high quality. This is a clue that those people in that ancient time were more advanced. Ramappa temple, you can see a dancing girl and pillar which made from black basalt. You can see that this girl is shining. So why they need to polish in such a high quality? As I mentioned before, This scene is actually represent something in our space. Maybe some star, maybe something from the sun, but it connects to a light. But because it invisible to our eyes, it is made from the black stone. But this girl is shining to remind us that we are deal actually with light and not with dark. Also here, Changa Wateshwar Temple, Black Basalt Nandi, that represents Shiva with color, time, in black and yellow temple. You can see the game of bright and dark stones. The black color is basalt also. Now we are going to Persia. The Persians also knew the importance of the black color. But instead of working with hard basalt, they painted softer stones in black color or worked with black Egyptian schist. Or used Egyptian statues that were made of black basalt. This is a picture from Tehran Museum. Now we are going to Archaic Greece and Etruscans. During the Archaic Iron Age, in southwest Turkey, Greece, Sicily, Italy, Etruscans, Greeks, Italians, and more began to appear. All these were the base of the Hellenistic culture and later the Roman Empire. And in front of you, a picture of Pergamon, ancient site in Turkey, and a temple of Trajan and Hadrian. Temple of Trajan and Hadrian. The remains are very impressive, made of white marble, and there is no tourist who visited the place and didn't see all this beauty. But all this beauty is built on the base of a dark brown andesite stone, remind of black color. The base itself has steps, which are Greek style. Local researchers say that there was a Hellenistic structure here, on the base of which the Roman temple was built. But it can be seen that the stones are not built in any orderly manner. Some of them have chisels in the form of frame, a design idea in all periods. Remains of projections at the edges in the shape of an arc, which were probably in the upper part, are found inside the building. Secondary use. All this suggests that there was a ruined structure here, and the Romans arranged the stones in the form of a rectangular structure as a base, so that there would be a strong base of a hard stone like andesite, and then covered everything with white marble. The question is, was it a Hellenistic structure or not? Even in the Hellenistic period, white color was preferred, as in the Roman period. Here, there was probably an archaic building of dark color and made of andesite, which was of importance. And on the base of these ruins, which the Romans built their temple. Here you can see these two rows of steps, a Greek style. Also, you can see the holes between the stones. We will meet it later, remember them. And here you can see in the bottom the frames. Here you can see those frames clearly. You can see that some of the stone is prominent in the middle, and on the sides we have a cut in the form of frame. This is something that has a decorative meaning. So nobody will build something with decoration and then cover it with marble. Yes. If we go inside the town of Izmir, today's Izmir, in Turkey, you will find the old Smyrna. This is a picture of this temple. The temple is dated to the Archaic period and made from a black-brown stone. You can see here the dates. From 8th century BCE to 6th century BCE, Archaic period. And you can see the walls, remains of the wall in the polygonal shape. And now we're moving to Assos. The temple of Athena was built in 6th century BCE, according to the archaeologists. In 4th century BCE, Aristotle moved to Assos. Aristotle founded an academy of philosophy at Assos. In Assos, the Greek word sarcophagus was born, which means meat eater. The Assos sarcophags were made of andesite, like everything you can see at Assos. And I called Assos the andesite city, or the purple city. Everything was made from purple andesite. This is example of the quality of those sarcophags. You can see closer. The purple color actually represents space. If you remember, the space and time from Dmitry Pavlov's theory evolved together. So instead of saying black color that represents the change in time, here we are talking about the change in colors from purple to red. And the purple is the closest to the source. So if we are looking from the earth, we will see a red color as something that far from us. But from the point of view of the source, this is a purple color, blue or a purple. So the purple color represents here the source, That's why I think those people, or this small group, choose this place. And I think that Aristotle later knew about the source of this place and chose this place to establish a school of philosophy. And I said that philosophy was the alternative approach to real knowledge on that time. And you can see here the quality of working with purple andesite. Very, very high quality. This is also from Eritrea. Purple andesite stone cut. Now we're going to Naxos, Sicily. Sicily is very important. It is mainly important because it gives us a better understanding of places I mentioned before. Naxos was created in the 8th century by immigrants from the archaic Greece. You can see wall with polygonal construction and in the black color. The stone here are scoria, soft basalt. The wall is associated with the 6th century BCE. It means that such style and such ideas were in Greece or today's Turkey more earlier. Hence you receive a conclusion that the polygonal style without mortar was in the archaic Greece, maybe in the 8th or 7th century BC, at least. But we know that in Turkey, in the site like Alaka Huyuk and Hattusa, are also walls in polygonal shape without mortar. And it is some 3,500 years ago. This is how they date. And they related to the Hittites or the Hattis. Catania was created in the 8th century AD, but there are remains of a theater there. There was a Roman theater in Catania, but as archaeological excavations have shown, it was built on the base of Greek theater. Greek world cut was found on one of the stones. In classical Greece sources, 450 BCE, a theater is mentioned. Alcibiades delivered his speech to the audience inside a theater. Second conclusion. Theater was already in the 5th century in Catania, which means that theater were in today's Greece or Turkey, probably even during the archaic period, and not founded in the 4th century BC. The theater is partly built of black basalt. Even at the base of the theater you can see blocks of basalt. It can be concluded that black in the archaic period there was a theater or archaic building made of basalt, the color of which was black. And this color is actually the color of archaic period. But no less interesting, this is the Odeon that is close to the theater. From what is survived you can see a semi-rounded structure made of black basalt. This lead us to the third conclusion. Emigrants from Greece built a black theater, and it was a theater that probably used in the 5th century BCE by Claudius. Last conclusion is a semi-rounded theater. This shape of semi-rounded theater and black color, it's an archaic ideas that were copied and in use in Hellenistic and Roman times later, and even today. Pompeii. The Odeon in Pompeii was built in 8th century BC. 1st century BC, 80 BC. This is based on an inscription, and it is true. There is an inscription, and I saw it. It is true that the Romans built here, but you can see that above the first 4 rows of well-cut black basalt blocks, there is a construction of small stones with mortar, and the floor covered with a beautiful white marble. So a conclusion that comes of the same picture as in Catania, on the base of an earlier black basalt structure, the Romans built their buildings. In the theater next door, you can already see a complete Roman construction. Everything there is built of small stones with mortar and white marble, of course. And if this is a close-up picture, and you can see the differences between the well-cut basalt stones on the left and the primitive wall on the right side. The difference between the Roman style and the archaic period. And also in colors, yes, you can recognize the red color, the red bricks. Black and white pottery. So not just construction, yes? In archaic Greece and among the Etruscans, black and white yellow pottery was developed. This is a picture from Aidone Museum. And you can see here a black pottery. Here you can see a white characters that represent some solar scene inside a black color that represents the space covered maybe with a field of time. Temple of Mercury. Also in France we have ruins in black color. The construction here dates back to the Roman period. Not surprised. But in archaeological excavations, objects from pre-Roman occupation were also found. From my closer observation of the site, I can tell you that the large black stones made of hard trachyte and joined without mortar and close to the heel are actually remind of Greek archaic period and not Roman style. So conclusion, here too there was a black building built by an archaic group. And you can see the black big blocks close to the hill. Now we are going to Urartu. between the 10th century BC and the 6th century BC, another group developed with Mesopotamian roots. Despite the multiple names, the name that was chosen to identify the group was Urartu. In Turkey, near Lake Van, there were remains of a black basalt and limestone temple called Çavuştepe. The processing level of the basalt is very good and requires appropriate tools. Yes, this is a black basalt. Not far from there, near Lake Van, remains of black basalt blocks were also found. The place is called Kef Kalesi. And this box or squared stone were also excavated in Kef Kalesi. You can see here a winged god standing on the lions. This is some planetary scene. Yes, a lion can represent the group of stars called Lion, and this god may represent some star. I showed in the previous videos that the wings represent stars, and the hands represent action, and the legs represent the place in the space where all this scene taking place. Going farther west from Lake Van, you can find more remains of a rectangular temple with a narrow entrance made of black grey andesite. The place is called Altintepe. And you can see here clearly square temple as it was in Tel Hatzor and other places of Urartu, stairs that leading to the main entrance, and something holy of holies inside that actually represent something: moon, star, sun, or something else. In Armenia, near Yerevan, there are remains of a square temple with a narrow entrance as well, also related to Urartu. The temple is called Suzi in the Erebuni complex, also belonging to Urartu, made of black basalt also. Near Erebuni, there are remains of a temple called Garni. The temple dates back to the Greco-Roman period, but by the eastern side of the hill on which the temple stands, there are remains of a wall. Large blocks of black or blue basalt that are attached without mortar and have holes in the joints places and bumps on pillars. It turns out that such holes can be seen at the base of the temple itself that survived. It turns out that such holes were in the temple and the Persian tombs from the 6th century BC. So we see here also archaic roots, and also in Asclepion in Pergamon. Moreover, there is a text that talks about the conquest of the hill in the Urartian period. The Romans probably were here later, or come here later. From here we get additional remains of black basalt construction from Archaic period. And this is the wall I was talking about. You can see the holes inside. Big black basalt blocks attached without mortar and holes inside. And if we go to the ancient Persia, the picture above, you can see in this temple also holes, the same holes between the joints of the blocks. And also in Pergamon, in ancient Pergamon. This is a picture from Asclepium in the bottom left corner. And I think that it was before the Romans, clearly. It is, yes, we are staying in Armenia. In the southwest of Armenia, the remains of a structure from the Urartian period were found on the hill. Several rows of black scoria basalt blocks remain in the lower layers. There are also niches left for connection blocks. In the picture, in the bottom left side. The place is called Ancient Armavir, also black stones, black color. Now we are going to Neo-Assyria and Neo-Hittite. In the 12th century BCE, the Hittite Empire fell and Neo-Hittites or Neo-Assyrians were created. It should be noted that the Hittites worked with hard magmatic rocks such as andesite, basalt and granite. Mesopotamia also had knowledge of working with particularly hard rocks. Therefore, the combination of the black color with quality work is related to a group of leaders who survived the Bronze Age and formed the base for the late Archaic period. One of the places that was discovered in Turkey was Koba Huyuk, and you can see here a scene covered with black color. You can see two figures and between them a tree, something like tree. You can see 6 branches, 3 in the left and 3 on the right, with form of wave. It actually represents the 7 lights of creation, because our universe is like a tree. It has roots and then it became split with branches. And all this scene covered in the black color of time, 4-dimensional time. And here you can see some findings from black basalt. Also here you can recognize the horse with the bands that pull the chariot with the wheels, and some gods sitting inside this chariot. And they have the arrow and the bow. And in my opinion, the arrow is representing a vector. Here too, you can see a lines made from black basalt. This place called Arslan Tepe, which means a mound of lion. And in my opinion, planetary scenes were also discovered there on black basalt slabs. Here you can see some of them. And also here. Another site in Turkey that belonged to the same group and with the same works on basalt, black basalt slabs, called Kara Tepe. This is a picture from this site. Creatures with wings and sun disk. As it was in Egypt, the circle represents sun or star. And also here, and you can see that the hieroglyphs on the legs are in let's say less quality or poor level than this lion with a face of a man was made. So some people came to this site later with less quality, or tools were less advanced. In today's northern Syria, several sites have been found with a Neo-Hittite or Neo-Assyrian connection, and there was also work with black basalt. The interesting thing is that natural basalt rocks are not found in those places, which means that the basalt had to be specially brought 50, 60 and even about 10 kilometers. From this we can already understand that they wanted the basalt and did not work only with local materials. One of these sites was located in northern Syria and is called Tel Halaf. And here we also see the same things: chariot, horses, wheels, and also a winged creature that called the god Kapara. Also the name Kapara or Kippur is connected with the day of Kippur in Jewish tradition. And here we see a disc with wings in black basalt. In northern Syria, there were similar finds from the ancient city of Aleppo. And you can see the stones of black basalt and the carving of scenes on them. The same things, scenes, yes, a bull, a band, and some wheel. Here we don't see a chariot, but also a winged creatures with wings holding something, basket in the hands. Northwest of Aleppo, about 4 kilometers, archaeologists found a temple which was named Ain Dara. The temple was built partly of black basalt and partly of limestone. Two lions that were part of a wall or entrance were found. The weight of each line was about 10 tons, and their nearest basalt sources are about 100 kilometers from the area. The quality is amazing. If you take into account the period, the 8th century BCE, then you can definitely say that some group of leaders controlled the knowledge of materials and knew how to work with hard rocks, such as basalt, and also looked for black basalt on purpose and not by chance. Here there was a combination of a temple, as it was in Urartu, and scenes on the surrounding slabs, as it was with Hittites and the Assyrians. Of course, it should be noted that in all those sites there were Arameans, and this is important for the next slides or videos. Let's continue. Here you can see the quality. The stairs to the main entrance. And here, this is one of the important findings. You can see the flower of lotus on the forehead of this face, on the forehead between the eyes, as allegorically as we know as the third eye, and was known as the third eye. Now we're going to Arameans. In archaeological findings from the Archaic period, as we have already seen, from the 10th century to 7th century BCE, a group named Aram or Arameans were discovered. The Aramic script or language became official instead of Akkadian. In the Bible, Arameans were closely related to the sons of Israel. The Aramic script was the base of the Hebrew square script. From this and previous slides, we can understand that the biblical writings were written by two groups: continuation of the Arameans and continuation of the Hyksos. In addition to the places that I have already shown where the Arameans lived, such as Tel Halaf, the Arameans established a kingdom in southern Syria, in the capital of which was Damascus, and the part of Jordan and today's Golan Hills. In all these places there were, of course, black basalt constructions. Here I show a picture. On the left side, Aramic script, and on the right side, the square Hebrew letters, and you can see how they are similar. On the main cities, one of the main cities was Bosra. There is a theater there. Seats were made from black basalt, and it is not known when it was originally built. Also, there are remains of black basalt. And you can see the quality of those waves. This is from black basalt. And also here, this decoration, also made from black basalt. Another place with ruins of black basalt is called Kanawat. And you can see here those sarcophags and some remains of blocks. Another place with ruins of black basalt is called Es Sueida, and you can see the ruins of this semicircular theater and the quality of the seats. Another place in Jordan with black basalt ruins is called Oman, and you can see the door that was made from black basalt. Also sarcophagus. And also here. Okay, so it can be said here that the Romans took the whole style from the archaic period as in the other cases. So this is not a Roman style, but before Roman style. Okay, now we are going to the Bible places. Another very important place in Jordan with black basalt ruins, part of which is in Jordan and part of which is in the territory of the state of Israel, is called Gadara. And you can see here the preserved very well black basalt semicircular theater. If you look closely, you can see all this made from black basalt stones. What a high quality. Yes. Everything is actually very, very black in the eyes. If you visit this place, you will see a black structure. And here you can see the quality. Yes. This is not primitive tools. And you can see all these unusual shapes. All this was made from one piece of black basalt stone. And of course, doors. The second part is found in today's Israel and is called Hamat Gader or Gadra. In Hebrew, Gader means border. Yes? Or maybe fence. And you can see here theater on a slope, Greek style. And if we added the fact that these are black basalt stones, then this theater of these seats could be from an archaic period. These are original pictures when it was first excavated. Those are the original pictures. In the center of the Golan, not far from the Sea of Galilee, there is a site called Gamla. The place was excavated by Shmaria Gutman. The place was identified with Gamla, among other things, based on a breach in the wall on which Josephus wrote and based on a coin that had Gamla name on it. You may agree or you may not, but in any case we welcome the identification. Gamla was the only settlement in the center of the Golan that was abandoned in the Great Revolt. According to the researchers, one of the interesting findings at the site was the discovery of the synagogue. The synagogue in Gamla was special because it existed during the time of the Second Temple. Until then, it was believed that the synagogue were built after the destruction of the Second Temple. The synagogue is dated to the time of Herod, which is the 1st century BCE. Arrowheads and stone bows were found at the site, indicating a battle here. Everything seems clear and has been known for many years, but it only looks clear. What is interesting is that both the wall and the tower and the houses are built or were built of basalt in a very primitive way, very rude surfaces or no processing at all. Rough surfaces or no processing at all. Yes, in fact, the base complex of the synagogue was built in a much higher quality. True, it's manual work, but relatively more advanced. In addition to this, what is also interesting is that the niches in the wall, one niche in the wall that researchers think was intended for storing holy books, together with the wall, was also built in very primitive way. So what we get, part of the synagogue built in a higher quality and part in a primitive way. There is a contradiction. In fact, if the wall and the niche belongs to the synagogue from the 1st century BCE, then the central complex is earlier. Then the question arises, what was the ancient complex used for? In fact, the complex has an entrance gate, a central hall with columns, and a raised stage. In the picture that I will show you, you can see 3 rows of basalt benches or steps, and behind them, on the right side of the picture after the 2 columns, a basalt platform, which is actually an idea of a 3-part temple, similar to archaic ideas. In the corners of the synagogue in Gamla, there is a throne item with an Ionic style decoration. There is also an item with a swastika decoration. So indeed, it is also known that Alexander Yanai captured Gamla from the Greeks in the 1st century BCE, and then the synagogue was probably also completed, meaning that the complex that received the nickname synagogue was probably built as early as the 3rd century BCE, before the Jews. In fact, the Seleucids also lived in Gadara and also have existed in Gamla, and there you can also find Ionic style titles there. But despite everything, there is no evidence that the Seleucids built any temple in Gamla. there are no inscriptions that testify to this. And the black color without white plaster raises doubts. For example, there is a claim that the wall was built by the Seleucids, but the wall is also built in primitive way. So where does the Ionic style come from? And who built the ancient temple? The earliest known source of the Ionic style is from the 6th century BCE, in the days of archaic Greece. The black color and the basalt construction with ideas of a temple and columns can be found in the archaic period, also at Tel Hatzor and at Neo-Hittis and at Urartu, etc., etc. Conclusion: the structure could be an archaic structure with the idea of a three-stage temple and archaic decorations. This is the picture, and you can see in front of you the main entrance. This is the temple. On the right side, the narrow entrance, the square hall, and on the left side, 3 steps leading to the platform. And you can see the difference in quality. Here too, the difference in quality between the main side and the wall. And you can see far from you on the right side this niche that I was talking about. Okay, and also here you can see that the shape of heart, if you look from the top view, was actually related to the archaic period. Another place not far from Gamla is called Dir Aziz. Remains of black basalt were also found there. And you can see the column, the base, the stones that were part of the floor. All was made from black basalt. And on the left side, the Roman structure with white plaster. And here. Another place not far from Gamla is called Ruins of Kanef. Remains of black basalt were also found there. The site was explored back in the 70s of the 19th century. At that time, a warehouse was built above the archaeological site, and you can see this warehouse in front of you. Excavations of the place showed findings from the 6th century AD and the Jewish settlement there. Findings under the structure have been dated to an archaic period, perhaps to the 12th century BCE. So you can see the difference between the inscription and the decoration. From this, it is clear that the Jewish settlement was on top of buildings from the archaic period, because the inscription is in Hebrew letters. You can see the level of the menorah decoration. From this, it is clear that the Jewish settlement was on top of buildings from the archaic period. And here, the quality. some polygonal joints. And this is the picture of the floor inside the building. And you can see the quality of the stones. How deep was the width of the stone from the floor. And the quality of the frame. Another place not far from Gamla is called Ein Kshatot. Remains of black basalt were also found there. The entire structure has been restored, but the stones themselves are original. Near the Sea of Galilee, there are 3 other sites with remains of black basalt, one of which called Capernaum or Kfar Nahum. And you can see the quality of the houses. A big primitive. No other words are needed to describe this view. And here also. But here in the central of the site was ancient structure, and you can see the black basalt stones that were a base of this, let's say, structure from white limestone blocks. And they probably related to the Archaic period. And you can see the quality of those stones. Earlier we saw low quality of the houses and the wall. And here we see very good quality. Conclusion. There was a basalt building before the Byzantine period and perhaps also BCE. And there were lower quality houses around it. On the base of the central building, the residents built the structure, which received the nickname synagogue from limestone. Near the Sea of Galilee, there are 2 other sites with remains of black basalt, one of which is called Khirbat al-Minia. This site related to the Islamic period, based on what you can see in front of you. But here we see also remains of black basalt floor and some remains of basalt blocks that are below, in the bottom, yes, the row that is the lower. And the quality, the same that we have seen in Kfar Nahum and other places. Another place in the same area is called Chorazin. And also here we can find a work with black basalt and decorations in form of or shape of geometry. And here you can see this stone in the entrance that was in secondary use. And here the Hebrew inscription is of a much worse quality than the decorations inside the synagogue. Another small place, because it was not excavated anymore, a little northeast of Chorazin, is called Ein Nashut or Ein Nashut. And here also a square structure from basalt was found, seats, columns, and you can see the quality. Not far from Mount Hermon, there is an archaeological site, the ruins of Omrit, Horvat Omrit. There was already a building in the place standing from the 1st century BCE. This dating is according to the frescoes that was on some of the walls and the floor. Archaeologists think the temple was built by Herod, because Josephus wrote that Herod built 4 temples, one in Jerusalem, one in Caesarea, one in another place, and one in Banias. And they think this site connects to the Banias. Later the Romans were here, both in the 1st century AD and in the Byzantine period. Everything is nice, okay, but you can see that everything is built of limestone, but the floor is made of basalt. Some items are made of basalt, and on the right side at the entrance, yes, remains of basalt structure. Conclusion: here too you can see an ancient structure made of black basalt, which was used later by Herods and the Romans. Here is the picture, what I'm talking about. The floor made from black basalt. And if you think that they make only the floor from black basalt, here you see also steps. And some ruins. And as I mentioned in previous videos, this cross is probably related to Archaic period and not to the Christians. West of the Sea of Galilee, there are remains of the ancient city Tiberias. And this is a picture from the theater. And you can see what the Romans really did. They used all kinds of stones. The remains of black basalt, limestone, and all together with a plaster, covered with plaster. But here you can also find remains from the Archaic period. For example, those doors. And here you can see why I think they are from Archaic period. This is picture from Tiberias on the right side, and on the left side you can see tomb of Amyntas. This is Archaic period. Or here Tiberias in Israel, you can see this, some triangle roof or something from black basalt, and the same structure or the same build, or I don't know what, from Eritrea in Turkey. In the area of Tiberias there are remains of the ancient Magdala. This is a place thanks to which the song I Will Never Be Maria Magdalena was written, which Sandra sang in the 80s of the 20th century. And of course you can see in the picture in front of you stones of black basalt. South of Beit Shean, there are remains of black basalt of Kohav Hayarden, also known as Belvoir Castle. Remains of Jewish settlement from the 3rd century AD were found in the site. Some of these ancient decorations were found east of the fort, but were also inside it. Later Crusaders arrived here. The site itself is built in an east-west direction and is more remind of archaic and Byzantine ideas in his base. So direction of the sun. But the black basalt and the location of the place that is identified with the biblical name Kohav could also indicate that it was initially a site from an archaic period. And here you can see a picture from west to east and the high quality of the ark made from black basalt. Don't believe me? This is a close-up picture. What a high quality, really. You have to admit. And here also. There is no other places that Crusaders used and it made from black basalt. This is unique. And here you can see the secondary use from maybe 1st century or 3rd century AD or maybe from archaic period. But it is clearly that it was a secondary use. Southeast of Sea of Galilee is an ancient site of black basalt called Hippos. And here also you can find the same picture. Remains of black basalt and the high quality. And here you can see what I'm meaning. What I mean when I'm saying that the Romans or Greeks came later. You can see that the shape of these spirals, yes, they made from a white mortar or white pillar, yes. But the decoration that you see in the top, they carved from the one piece of black basalt. Why? The answer is simple. This decoration is related to archaic period, and to those groups or settlement or those who arrived here and their knowledge with more advanced tools. And then the Romans came and they used what their simple knowledge, not simple, but they used the knowledge in plaster technology. Yes, we're coming to the end, and here you can see, yes, this archaeologists say was ancient theater, but I don't agree, because you see that in the other places the seats survived. And here is a semicircular structure with some stairs. This direction is to the east. So this is to welcome the sun. So this structure is for the sun god and related to the archaic period and made from the black stone, of course. Okay, the black color in the eyes of those who survived the period of changes on Earth about 12,000 years ago was the color of what cannot be seen with the eyes, and especially the color of time, a four-dimensional time field together with space. This knowledge that came from Assyria, Akkad, the Hittites, and other groups eventually passed to the Arameans, who transferred it to the region where the biblical writings were developed. Together with the inhabitants of the place, the owners of the tradition, and the continuation of an ancient group of rulers, the Hyksos, the biblical writings were later created. Conclusion. From the information in all the ancient places around the earth, it can be said that we live in the four-dimensional universe of four-dimensional time or space, and if we develop practical experiments according to the theory of Dmitry Pavlov and Dr. Sergei Kokorev, I think we will be possible to look at our universe in a way that has not been done in the last at least 3,000 years, and understand the universe, including ourselves, in the best possible way, and as a result reduce the suffering and the fear to the minimum level. This will be a new chapter in our humanity. Yes. Thank you very much for being with me. Write to me, respond to me, and until then, goodbye.